Hey everyone, Brian from Rebel Traders here. It is the weekend again, January 27th, and hope everyone's having a good weekend. This, of course, being the weekend video, we'll take a look at what happened last week, quick review, and then we'll look ahead and see what we got coming down the pipe this week. Lots of interesting earnings on deck, so let's get down to it. All right, as we always do, let's start out with a quick review of what happened last week. And there was no shortage of good news for the economy and the inflation fight this week, of course. We had GDP, home sales, ISM numbers. They were all strong, showing the economy is in good shape. And at the same time, we had the PCE price index, which came out on Friday, and that's the Fed's favored sort of indicator for inflation, and continues to show it remains under control and trending down is what they want to see. So one number isn't always indicative of the trend, but again, we've been getting a series of numbers, and it continues to look good. So the possibility of rate cuts are still looming. Some people are still pretty negative on the idea that we might get one in March. But that's kind of the way things played out this week, and all the indexes managed to end higher in the week. Even the small caps, which have been lagging a bit, they led the way this time. So a bit of money rotating back into the smaller cap index. Energy and communication services, the biggest gainers on the week. And basic materials, real estate sectors were the biggest losers on the week. Consumer staple or consumer discretionary was also a little bit on the weak side, but that was a lot to do with Tesla and their earnings report that came out, the negative reaction to that. 2-year treasuries and the 10-year pretty much flat, didn't really do anything this week. The US dollar didn't change much either, which is not surprising. And last time I looked, Bitcoin was down quite a bit from previous weekend. So that's pretty much the way things looked for the week. All right. And as always, before we get going, looking at some charts, I'd like to throw in a quick plug for my books on Amazon: How to Swing Trade, Beginner's Guide to Trading Tools, Money Management Rules, Routines of a String Trader. And then my latest book here is How to Trade Options, Complete Guide to Trading Options, Trade Strategies and Risk Management. So you can check that out as well. It's new. It's just published a month and a bit ago, almost 2 months ago. So that's it. Let's move on to look at some charts here. All right, so let's start looking at some charts here. And as always, like to start out by looking at the yields, see what yields are doing. And really, they're doing nothing this last week. No change really, as we already talked about. Seems to be just flatlining, waiting for the Fed to do something here. Same sort of story with the 10-year kind of inching up, and maybe actually going to get back above the 2-year, which would be more normal situation where the longer dated treasuries are higher in yield compared to the shorter dated ones. So kind of moving in that direction a little bit. Transports kind of had a big pop up here on, I guess it was the Monday, and we really kind of just chopped along here. We haven't made it much above this 16,000 level. Again, transport's sort of an indicator of economic activity, but again, we're kind of stuck in the top of the end of this range here on the week, and I'd be looking for a breakout of that 16,000 level to show us that things are continuing to improve economically. Dow, again, new high here, pulled back from that high. And really on the week, we didn't have a lot of gains or on this on the week. Let's take a look at the weekly here. Did manage another 0.2%, but we just continue to push higher here, and we'll see where things go. Volume was pretty decent. We are pretty oversold here. You can see RSI is up there, same with the stochastics, pretty much in oversold land. MACD really looking a little extended here too. So again, the market's pretty much fully priced in, a so-called soft landing and sort of perfect economic conditions. So hopefully the companies that are reporting don't disappoint. But you can see here the Qs on the week, maybe pulling back a little bit on Friday on that Intel news, and again they were pretty overbought, pretty extended. Volume kind of dropped off a little bit on Friday, but all the indicators, momentum indicators, showing that market's pretty extended. And as you can see on the weekly here, an indecision candle for the Qs. So a lot's going to ride on what these big companies that are reporting next week for the Qs, how the market's going to take the numbers that they come out, because like I said, a lot of sort of good news has been priced in to the market. So, are they going to sell off on the news? Sort of a similar situation to Bitcoin, where they had that big run up into the announcement of the ETFs and then things kind of sold off. Are we going to see that, or is there going to be more impetus just to move these stocks higher? It'll be interesting to see how that all plays out, because like I said, they've run up a lot into the earnings. SPY, again, on the day kind of pulled back a bit, but we kind of have struggling to make any progress during the week. We were up again on the week, another record for the SPY there, and another move higher. Hard to predict where this could be going, because there's just no there's no levels to compare against this now. No levels of resistance above. We're just into an uncharted territory. And here's the IWM. We are pretty range bound here. You can see here we're just sort of between 198 and 195-ish, 194.50. On the week, we actually did make some gains here. Are we going to get back to 200? I guess that's going to depend a lot on how things play out in the earnings this week, and how the market and investors react to some of the earnings and then guidance that we get out of the CEOs and CFOs. So here you go, the VIX again. The VIX fear indicator, no sign of fear whatsoever. The dollar kind of flat on the week, not really doing much, kind of just chopping, as you can see on the weekly. Zip along here, and Bitcoin back up just under 42,000. This 42,000 level area of lots of support, and lost it here. Now it's coming back and retesting it. I'd be watching to see if it fails here, because this is a fairly common pattern that happens. You get a breakdown in a specific area of resistance, it comes back to retest it, and then fails again. That has happened, as does when you get a when you get a move higher, you'll have a push to new high and then a pullback and retest. So we'll see what happens here, but 42,000 is an important level on Bitcoin. So we'll see what transpires there, but that's a good number to watch if you're a Bitcoin fan. All right, so some stocks that I'm going to be watching this week. Again, a lot of earnings, and a lot of the stocks that I watch are having earnings this week, so I won't be playing them going into earnings. But I did sell some 180 calls last week with Apple. It really bounced back up here. That worked out quite well. They got an upgrade, but back up to this 195 levels, kind of stalling out here. So it's gonna be interesting to see if it actually, after their earnings, if they have enough good news in their earnings to see if they can push higher. But it's one definitely to watch after earnings to see how the reaction is. I think they may have some challenges. I mean, I will see what, China is a big market for them. We'll see how the numbers are in China. Affirm, this is a position I have. I'm still long. $36 puts. I'm still looking for this to lose $40 and start to move down there. I've got a lot of time on those. They're sort of midsummer puts, so they're expiring in quite a few months from now. So still watching them. They're basically flat in my position right now. AMD, this is again the stock I like to watch, but it sold off a little bit on the Intel stuff, Intel earnings report, and but it did manage to come back a bit during the day. Lots of good news with AI on AMD, and we'll see what again they're reporting this week. So we'll just have to see where things sort of play out here, whether all the sort of good news is baked into this, or if there's enough good news to juice this thing some more. Here's one I'm going to be watching next week for a possible trade. AXP. This is an example of a stock where you get they had bad numbers. They put up bad numbers, but they put up good guidance for 2024. Putting up bad numbers. If you'd have traded off those numbers, if you were an insider and knew those numbers somehow, and you thought, okay, well, I'm going to short the heck out of this thing because they're going to throw up all these bad numbers. You would have been wrong. You would have been really wrong. So again, earnings can be a bit of a crapshoot, as you can see with AXP. And it's a reason I really, with my swing trades, I just don't like to be betting on earnings outcomes. But you can do that, and probably one of the better ways to do that was with options. So I'll be looking at some options trades next week on this, maybe selling some 205 calls. I'll be short. That means I'm short. So again, it's going to depend on how I'd like to usually let it play out a day or two, at least 2 days before taking a position to make sure that it's not going to just continue to push higher. But at this point, I'm thinking 205 is probably where the top is at this point for now. Might even be able to take some 190 puts as well, and as this would be kind of the floor where it would come back if it did pull back. Boeing, I'm still long. I'm long some. I did a spread, 240. I bought some 240 calls, sold some 260s. So right now it's down a little bit. The 260s are up because I'm short them. The 240s are down because we had this big pullback after. On some more news there, but again, got lots of time. I think they're expiring in August, so I'm just giving it some time here. Google's another one that's going to be reporting this week, or I should say Alphabet. Again, breaking out, really just continues to storm higher, and we'll just wait to see what happens with Google after they announce their earnings. IBM, this was one that I did on Friday. I shorted the 195 calls. Again, you can see here, I did that when it started to fail and dropped down below, went into the red on Friday. And again, this is just one of my strategies. My option trade strategies is to wait for earnings and then take a position. So I got over $1 for those options. They'll expire at the end of next week. So as long as this continues to sort of stay below 195, I'll be good on that. Meta is another one that's reporting, again, really extended. We'll see what they have to say, but Meta usually has, I don't know, has had some good things to say. Everybody talks about it being undervalued. Netflix had some great earnings as well. You can see this is the gap up that happened on Wednesday. And again, this is why you kind of wait a few days before you start. I wasn't going to throw a position on there right away, 560. If I'd have done that on the following day, I could have, and now I'd be significantly in the red if I was short some calls there. But so it's, just have to wait and see how the stock reacts a couple days after, not just after the first day. So. Again, 580 looks like a level right now. It might be topping out at, and that's possibility. We'll see how it trades on Monday. May sell some 580 or 590 calls. Just assuming that it's not going to go higher. Tesla really got beat up on Thursday, Friday on their earnings call. Again, I kind of suspected this was going to happen. I didn't take a position on it, but that was my leaning just because it's been, the EV market and Tesla have been having challenges. Their margins are getting compressed because they're cutting costs. So nothing but bad news on that front. They're still pretty richly priced as a car company, although people argue that they aren't really, they're more than a car company, and maybe they do deserve a premium, but they do have a premium even up here. So anyway, where's it going? Could be coming down here, this sort of 165 level. We'll see if it actually gets down there. Tesla has a lot of cachet with retail traders, so if it does go there, it's going to put up a fight. But that's Tesla in a nutshell. Anyway, that's it, everyone. That's kind of what I'm watching for next week. I've got a few positions on, and we'll see how the earnings play out with all of these big names that are coming up and reporting this week, mostly Tuesday and Thursday after the close. Okay, so let's wrap things up here. What are we looking at for the week of January 29th? Here's your levels right now on the Dow Q, SPY, and IWM with their associated support and resistance levels. Economic events, we do have some interesting stuff coming up. ADP, employment obviously in focus with as being a driver of inflation. So we'll be getting some numbers on Wednesday, and then on Friday as well, we'll get payrolls, unemployment, and wage data from out of the government as well. And then we'll get some consumer confidence stuff. On top of that, consumer confidence has been pretty good. So we'll look for a continuation in strength in that. And then as far as earnings go, I already talked a lot about this. We do have lots of interesting earnings coming up this week. Microsoft, Google, AMD on Tuesday after the close, Boeing on Wednesday before the open, and Thursday after the close, Apple, Amazon, and Meta, some biggies coming up here. So hang on to your hats, and we'll see what happens next week. Have a great rest of the weekend, everybody. And of course, we will be on 8 o'clock on Monday morning, taking you through a pre-market show. And then, of course, with our members, trading the market open at 9:30. So that's it. And like I said, enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone. Bye for now.